here's the deal. If you are going to buy a depreciating asset anyway, if you're going to buy a car, if you love that sports car, if you want to get a boat, if you want a jet ski, if you want to get a camper, an RV or something of that nature, I'm not saying don't buy it. I am saying infinite banking is going to help you operate with 100% maximum efficiency. I am saying instead of giving that money to the bank, create a system so you keep control of all that money. Keep it in your own banking system. That's what a properly designed whole life insurance policy is going to do for you. So yes, I am saying that, but I'm also saying that the mindset when you're 25 to 50 years old or 25 to 55 or 60 years old and you're looking to increase your wealth, you're not going to increase your wealth by buying depreciating assets. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, I want to talk to you about the 5 mistakes that I see people making with infinite banking. And the goal that I have with this video is to take infinite banking, explain it simply, because I think one of the problems is people have a misunderstanding about what infinite banking is, how they can leverage it in their life. And when you don't understand what something is truly, it's easy to make mistakes. And so I figured if I could go through the 5 biggest mistakes that I see people making, the 5 biggest misunderstandings that I see people leading into these mistakes, and I figured I'm gonna have to do so in a way that's gonna help you understand in the most simplistic terms what infinite banking is in these 5 areas, and then you're gonna be able to make a more educated decision. You're gonna be more informed. You're gonna learn how to utilize this strategy in your life in a more effective way. Or if you're a life insurance agent and you're trying to be able to connect with people and sell this to people and really get people to see the value of an infinite banking policy in their life and the problems that it would solve for them, this will hopefully help you understand how to more effectively communicate the value and the benefits of infinite banking. So let's get into this. So the first mistake that I see is people looking at infinite banking as an investment or an investment alternative, right? And so here's the deal. Life insurance, infinite banking has to be done with a properly designed whole life insurance contract. Now, I always tell people infinite banking is not a product, it's a process, but the bottom line is the reason it has to be whole life insurance is because of the benefits. I just actually did a video the other day. I don't want it on this, but just to give you an idea, I went through all these different things, right? There are 11 reasons you can't use IUL for infinite banking. That said, it's not an investment alternative. It is a savings alternative. Your infinite banking policy, your whole life policy that's properly designed is going to be an alternative to a savings account for you to have a safe, liquid, accessible place to keep your capital. It's going to have your dollar perform more than one function for you. It's going to give you living benefits. It's going to give you guarantees, liquidity, use, and control of your money. It's going to give you life insurance benefits, to protect your family. I always tell people a properly designed whole life policy is the only financial product in the world that will make sure what you want to happen will happen when you want it to happen, whether you're here to see it or not. And so that is the power of a properly designed whole life insurance policy. Now, my buddy Caleb wrote a book called The And Asset, and I'll put a link in the description below so you can go down and get a free copy of that. All we ask you to do is pay for shipping if you want to get access to that book. Now, here's the deal. If you do this, if you want to get access to that book, and if you want to learn about this, just go down in the description. You can go to Amazon, you can get it for $20, or you can go down there. It's like $8.95 for shipping and handling, and we'll take care of it for you. But here's the deal. Life insurance is not an either or conversation. You can have your money in the whole life policy. It's going to become highly liquid right out of the gate, and then you're going to be able to leverage that money into other assets, into real estate, your business, crypto, stocks, day trading, anything that you want to do. You can do all that. And so that's the first mistake that I see people making, is thinking that life insurance is the investment. One of the things that kind of hit me the other day, I guess a couple months ago now, wow, time flies. But one of the things that I thought about the other day is when I was in the 90s and I was growing up, I think I was like 12 or 13 years old watching football. We talked about BASF, right? There was all these commercials, BASF. At BASF, we don't make the paint that you use, we make it brighter. We don't make your fishing line, we make it stronger. We don't make this, we make it that. It's like we don't make your product, we make it better. That's ultimately at BASF. We don't make the products you buy, we make the products you buy better, right? If anybody is about my age, you probably remember commercials, for BASF in some way, shape, or form. They had a NASCAR, they had all these things going on, right? And so here's the deal. Whole life insurance is not the investment you make, it makes your investments better because you can leverage it in all those different ways, right? And so that's the biggest thing. Whole life insurance is an and asset. It's not an either or conversation. So thinking that I have to do my investment or I have to do infinite banking, you're thinking about it wrong. And if you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you, you don't understand the concept yet. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, you click the bell, that way you're notified as I educate and create these videos to help you out. All right, so the second mistake that I see people making, and this happens a lot with agents, this happens a lot with people selling infinite banking, and it's misrepresented in a lot of ways. And here's the deal. You are not gonna get rich buying depreciating assets. I know that's gonna be a controversial statement to a lot of people in the infinite banking space, but here's what I wanna say. You're not gonna get rich buying depreciating assets. Here's the deal. If you are gonna buy a depreciating asset anyway, if you're gonna buy a car, if you love that sports car, if you wanna get a boat, if you want a jet ski, if you wanna get a camper, an RV, or something of that nature, I'm not saying don't buy it. I am saying infinite banking is going to help you operate with 100% maximum efficiency. I am saying instead of giving that money to the bank, create a system so you keep control of all that money. Keep it in your own banking system. That's what a properly designed whole life insurance policy is going to do for you. So yes, I am saying that, but I'm also saying that the mindset when you're 25 to 50 years old, or 25 to 55 or 60 years old, and you're looking to increase your wealth, you're not going to increase your wealth by buying depreciating assets, right? So yes, if you are going to buy cars anyway, which most people do, right? Like, so there's a thing here. I want to show this real quick. I'm going to do this. Okay, so there's a thing here. So like I could show you this, right? Where, all right, if you got to buy a car, you're going to go buy it anyway, right? You could pay cash. And if you save up for the car, then you pay cash. You save up for the car, you pay cash, right? So you're going to do this anyway. So like you buy one car, two car, three cars. But the problem is you're always spending the cash. And when you spend that cash, not only do you lose access to that cash right now, you got to save up for your next car. So you're always spending money on the car no matter what. So what happens is you lose the opportunity cost in paying cash. You lose what that cash could do for you. So what if I could show you a way? Actually, I'm going to undo that. What if I could show you a way, just make this a little cleaner, that you'd save up, right? And instead of paying cash, you would collateralize once you saved up enough money. And you would pay it back, right? And then you pay the car back, you go back, and every time you pay back that loan, instead of giving it to the bank or paying cash, right? Because if you paid it to the bank up here, you're completely just going back, you pay it off, you have the car, you have no debt, whatever, and most people repeat that. And most people actually, when they do this, when they do the debt side, they're actually underwater. So the idea is you could be a debtor, you could be in debt for the car, you could pay cash for the car, or you could be what we call a wealth creator, and that's by utilizing infinite banking. And that's every time you pay back, you have more and more money in your account when you pay it back. And obviously, as time goes on and compounding takes effect, that money continues to grow because you're never interrupting the growth of this, and so you don't have lost opportunity cost of that money. And so that is the power in this. Now, here's the deal. You're never going to get wealthy buying these, but it is about financial efficiency, right? Because these depreciating assets are going to be going down in value over time, right? But if you were to imagine what would happen if you utilize this same concept to buy cash flowing assets, right? So you go into debt to buy real estate. Well, not only is this money, this savings storage alternative, which is your whole life policy, right? Not only is that growing regardless, no matter what you buy down here, this is going to grow regardless. So yeah, it's going to increase that efficiency. But imagine if you bought a house or an investment property, and by the time you paid it back, your account value is up here, and this asset is also worth tons of money, right? That's the power of infinite banking, right? Like is it's going to make every decision that you make more efficient. That is really what it comes down to. So that is the second mistake. I just wanted to be really, really clear on this. I know it's really controversial because people just have a hard time wrapping their head around it, but you are not going to get wealthy buying depreciating assets, not even with infinite banking. All right, so the third mistake that I see people making is that they want to stop contributing to their banking policy way too soon. I'm a big believer that as long as you have cash flow coming into your life, you want to keep funding your policy. Let me show you exactly why. Because when you look at this, this is an illustration. This is what I call a cash flow hacking policy. Now, what does that mean? We utilize this in my book, Cash Flow Hacking, and you can go down in the description and the link below and get a free copy of it. It talks about leveraging infinite banking policies effectively and combining it with cash flow real estate. And when you combine infinite banking policies with cash flow real estate, it helps you get to the result that you are looking for faster, which is ultimately financial independence, right? And increasing the efficiency of your entire portfolio, right? So check this out. So right here, you can see this is somebody who's starting off with some resources and assets. And now this can be scaled down. It can be, you don't need a big front load or anything like that. But this is just the illustration that I had on my desktop to be able to show you as an example. $200,000 for the first year. It's a $180,000 front load into the policy with a $20,000 annual premium. Here's the deal. Check this out. Out of $200,000 the first year, you have liquidity of $185,000 and change, $185,631, right? So that's one thing. Now, year two, we put in $20,000 and it grows by 22. So year two, this policy is already growing by 10% more than you're contributing to it, right? You put in 20, it grew by over 22. That's pretty insane. So a lot of people will say, hey, Chris, how long do I have to pay? Well, the answer to you is you only have to pay on this for 7 years. However you design it, you can always have these completely purely paid up after 7 years if that's what you want. But my question to you is, why would you ever want to stop? You are paying, year one is as bad as this gets. You give up about 8%, maybe just under 8%, 7.5% of your liquidity is what you're giving up to be able to participate and have a long-term view in this policy, right? And to be able to have and invest in a long-term strategy. Notice you're not investing. This is not an investment, but you are investing in a strategy and having a long-term outlook on this. So after year 7, you've already paid all the fees. You now have, starting in year 8, what is the most efficient financial vehicle that will ever exist on the face of the earth, and you will never be able to get it again. If you stop now, you're gonna have to start over and you're gonna have to pay those fees again. Now, sometimes it makes sense because you're not gonna be able to contribute more to this, your income will go up and you'll wanna do another one, and that's okay. But not in replacement of this one. I see too many people try to stack policies and fund them for 7 to 10 years and then do another policy. Listen, there's no guarantee you're going to be insurable in 7 to 10 years. And so I would say make sure you lock this in for as long as you can. And then let's just look at the math, right? At year 8, you're putting in 20,000 and it's growing by 31,000. Year 10, you're putting in 20, it's growing by 33. By the time year 20 grows around, you put in 20 and it's growing by 51. So I don't know about you, but if I have the ability to put money into any kind of guaranteed liquid accessible account that I know I'm going to be able to put in an amount and have access to more that I'm contributing, that's something I never want to stop. Now, obviously, there's going to come a point in time where you have maybe retire, maybe you don't have any cash flow, maybe you're a real estate investor and cash flow is never an issue, and you've become so abundant and you've done such a great job, and now you've gone from thinking about how do I survive and how do I maximize my retirement, and you start thinking about legacy. Well, I got good news for you. This policy, you can see, comes with a lot of tax-free death benefit along with everything. So this is going to allow you and all your other assets to be, you can leverage it and you can kind of live your life the way that you want to live, knowing that this is here on the back end to make sure that your legacy planning is already underway. You know what I mean? And so that's a really, really powerful thing. So thinking that you want to stop this too early is the biggest mistake, because I think if you are going into this with the mindset of thinking, I want to pay on this for as short a time as possible, it's telling me that you don't really understand what the infinite banking concept and what the benefits are long term. And once you do understand, you're gonna never want to stop contributing to this. All right, so the fourth mistake is something that I actually just covered a little bit, and that is not thinking long term. You know, people think too short term, and they way overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish throughout their life or throughout a decade or over a longer period of time. This is the old adage of start with the end in mind, think long term, reverse engineer a plan to get there. But in order to do that, we have to be committed to a long-term perspective, and we need to know that our strategy and our plan is in alignment with achieving our goals, right? And so this is, if you look back to that illustration that I showed, and I'll just show it one more time, I'll pop it up here. But if you look at this, a lot of people say, hey, I don't like this because, you know, I'm losing liquidity of this, you know, $14,000 and change right here, because you only have 185,000 liquid out of the 200,000 you put in. Well, my response to that is, A, if you're being a good steward of your money, you're not going to want access to all 185,000. You're not going to be responsible and eliminate all your reserves and put it into use anyway, right? Like that's not the purpose of this. So that's that. And secondly, when you look at the long-term benefits of what that account is going to do for you, and you look at the attributes that the account provides as far as giving the guarantees, the liquidity, the use, the control, the growth, the death benefit, the living benefits if you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill, all these different things. So when you think about what your needs are going to be through your life for that safe, liquid, accessible money to do for you, there's not another asset in the world that's going to do for you what a properly designed whole life insurance policy, infinite banking style, will do for you. It's got to be properly designed. You got to work with somebody that knows what they're doing. And so on that note, if you haven't already, there is a link down below that you can set up a free clarity call with one of our coaches that can help you, that I personally trained, that I personally mentored and work with, to be able to help you achieve what you are looking to achieve, or figure out, or just gain clarity so you understand more about this stuff that I'm teaching you, and you can actually have a real one-to-one, no pressure conversation with somebody. Maybe that'll be beneficial for you, maybe it won't, I don't know, but it's there for you if you need it. So that is the fourth mistake. The fifth mistake is something that I talked about at the beginning, and it is, you can't use Index Universal Life. I mentioned it just briefly. These are the reasons that you can't use Index Universal Life. At the end of the day, I say infinite banking is not a product, it's a process. It's a philosophy, but the foundational core component of it is control. Control of your capital, control of the results in your life, control. And in an Index Universal Life policy, you are taking that control and you are giving it to the insurance company. It's important to understand that it's not about the rate of return. And by the way, IUL policies, my guess is over the next 10 years are not going to even beat whole life policies. Whole life policies, my guess, and I have a lot of videos explaining why this is the case, but I think whole life will actually outperform Index Universal Life. And I got a lot of math and science as to why I believe that over the next decade. However, that said, when we look at IUL on paper is always going to outperform whole life. It's always going to look sexier, prettier on paper. It's just going to. The problem is it's not going to perform the way that it's sold. And the problem is that, foundationally speaking, when you are a policyholder with a participating mutually held whole life insurance policy, you are a business partner. You are effectively a shareholder of the mutual company, participating in the profitability of that company through a dividend that is paid through the whole life policy. When you are a policyholder with an IUL, they are taking what they would pay you in dividends, and they are buying an options budget with it. I got news for you. These companies, that's what this 4% is right here. If these companies were able to take your 4% that they could earn in the general fund very easily for you, if they were able to take that 4% and turn it into a higher return, let's call it 6 or 6.5%, 5.5% in an IUL, if they were able to do that for you after all the fees and expenses and charges and all these different things, they're having a hard time getting 4%. Why wouldn't they do that for themselves? So I think it's easy when we back this out and we utilize a little common sense and we start to understand that all the rest of this is just smoke and mirrors with IUL, and that you are effectively a profit center when you're a policyholder for an IUL company. You start to realize that for infinite banking, it's not just about arbitrage. It's not about, hey, can I borrow against it at 4% and get 5.5% back, right? And have that 1.5% arbitrage. That's not what it's about. So that's why infinite banking, or that's why you can't utilize Index Universal Life for infinite banking, because it's not just about arbitrage. It's about a philosophy. It's about control. It's about guarantees. It's about leverage. And when you realize all these things where you have risk and no control, you never want to take risk inside of an insurance company. Hence the reason you can't use IUL for infinite banking. So those are the 5 mistakes that I see people making with infinite banking. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video. Hope you found value in this. Until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.